Hi, it's Stewart Fraser, PGA Professional at Sneinton Golf, and welcome to our latest video. One of the most anticipated videos of 2022 is the brand new Mizuno Pro Series iron. I've been looking forward to these irons coming onto the market for quite some time now. The Mizuno Pro Series has always been a measure of Mizuno's finest quality irons that they've produced, and these I expect to be no different. The finest components, the finest manufacturing processes, and some of the nicest looking and feeling heads on the market. Let's have a look at some of the technology that's included in these new products. So all these new irons are produced in Hiroshima using the grain flow forging technique that Mizuno have used for years and years, which gives them the unique feel that you would expect from Mizuno, ranging from the 221 in carbon steel right through to this brand new chrome alloy forged product in the 223, which gives it that really thin face technology. It makes it a bit quicker off the face and more forgiving. But they've also got a little copper layer underneath the chrome top, which gives it that unique Mizuno feel. It's a technology that was introduced in the wedges at first to give it that softer feel, and now they've popped that in the irons as well. So this should improve the feel even more so from that famous Mizuno feel that we've felt in the past from their predecessors. Now what I also like about these irons is how they've changed the looks of them. They do seem to have made the footprint of these irons, all three of them, a lot smaller. Even like the 225 to me looks smaller than the old HMB, which for me was a little bit too offset, maybe a little bit too big a head design. I'm hoping that the 225 though still retains its playability and the fact that it's much easier to hit, so we can get more players into this iron. The 223 is a really interesting one because the iron that it replaces, the MMC, was one of my favourite all-time irons in terms of feel, so I'm interested to see whether that also feels fantastic like it used to do, and I expect nothing less from the 221 other than just utter brilliance and something that feels like the best iron on the market and sounds unlike anything else as well. We're going to put these to the test soon, but just to go through some of the technology in these irons. To go through each of these individually, we've basically got the 221, as I say, which is the much smaller head, compact design. It's going to feel absolutely amazing. There's not as much technology in this head as what you would imagine, other than the copper layer underneath the head. Also in this iron, the head size reduces slightly as you go through the set. So as you get to smaller, more scoring irons, your 8s, your 9s, your pitching wedges, the head becomes more compact, just to look a little bit more pleasing to the eye and also help give that player a little bit more accuracy when it comes into hitting the ball into the green. So the 225 is the sort of direct replacement for the HMB before. Say much smaller looking head. It doesn't look as offset as what the HMB did. This is where the technology really starts getting complex. So it's thin face technology like the HMB was, but apparently a little bit thinner, 0.2 millimeters thinner than the old one. So I would expect that then to come off the face a little bit faster and even add a little bit of forgiveness. The HMB though did sound quite hollow, which I wasn't a massive fan of. I'd like this golf club to sound a little bit more dull off the face, a little bit better acoustically. And then that for me would make pretty much the perfect iron, because the HMB was ridiculously easy to hit. Fitted a lot of players into this that was sort of mid to high teens. So if we can keep the playability of the HMB and yet new sound, new feel, which I believe they've tried to add into this, I'll be really intrigued to hit that iron. Now say the 223, absolutely lists of technology in this. I'm going to have to refer back to the Bible to actually see what sort of technology we've got in this iron, because apparently it's unlike anything they've produced before, and it's the biggest advancement in technology that Mizuno have ever put into an iron. So it's forged in Hiroshima, Japan. Now they've been forging irons in that factory for years and years, as I mentioned, so it should give that classic feel. It's got the copper underlay, and it's forged chrome alloy with a flow micro slot in the 4-7 iron. Now this is supposed to give you better ball speeds and more playability with the longer irons, and can just see that little slot there in the back. So with the shorter irons that doesn't have that, but as the loft gets less and the iron gets harder to use, that's going to help. It's going to make the iron a bit more playable and so make it a little bit faster in the irons that's important in. Now chrome alloy is an interesting one. It's not the normal forged carbon steel that they use in the really soft bladed sort of muscle back irons, but I would still expect this club to feel fantastic because of the forging process, the grain flow forging that they use. So moving on to the 223, now this is where all the tech really is introduced in this brand new iron. Mizuno claim this is the most advanced iron they've ever produced. It's supposed to give us the forgiveness of the HMB packed into a much smaller head design that feels very similar to the muscle back It's been tour proven. A lot of guys on tour have tried this in blind tests and said it feels every bit as good as the muscle back. So I'm intrigued, especially intrigued to hit this iron and see whether those claims are correct. But just to go through some of the lists of technology that are in this iron. Now, the main thing basically, it's almost kind of like a combination set, because the 4 to 7 iron contain this little micro slot at the back. Now, they're also made out of chrome alloy, so they can make the head more hollow, like the HMB, can make it more forgiving, easy to launch the ball up a bit. All the benefits that you expect from a longer iron, but in a much smaller footprint, so that head's still really compact and it looks amazing. And then 8 iron down to pitching wedge, you're back to the mild carbon steel that gives you precision and feel around the greens. I'm expecting this iron to feel absolutely amazing, sound amazing, and I'm really excited especially to try this one because the MMC was one of my favourite irons of all time, and this is essentially its predecessor but with a bit more tech packed inside. So we're going to move on to the most exciting bit, which is hitting these things and getting the feel and seeing what the performance is like on the flight scope. I'm really excited for this bit especially, so let's crack on and let's hit a few balls and see how these things perform. I can confirm these things feel as good as anything I've ever tried before, and they look great. Making the head with a slightly smaller footprint has been a huge success for me because I don't think they've lost any of the playability of previous range of irons. So far, so good for the Mizuno Pro Series iron. Let's delve into the data a little bit more and see whether the performance is also impressive in comparison to the looks and acoustics. Now, we've got to bear in mind, obviously, that the 221 is 34 degrees loft, 223 is 32 degrees loft, the 225 is 30 degrees loft, which they're getting progressively stronger with every iron. So it's a good club's worth of loft stronger, the 225 over the 221. So we are going to get greater distances. However, as a club gets stronger, it's crucial that a manufacturer makes it slightly easier to use and higher launching so that it still performs really well. So let's go straight in at the deep end with the carry distances. Now, average carry for me, it's cold out there today, with the 221 was 157.4. We had an average carry, the 223 with 164.7, and the 225 was 172.2. So that distance is increasing as we go through each iron, as we go through the loft. So I can confirm the 225 and the 223 are fast off the face. Each one's getting progressively longer in terms of distance, and as it gets longer, the spin rate is reducing ever so slightly. So we've got 5,356 221, making our way through 5,286 for the 223 and 5,024, quite a bit lower spin, another couple of hundred for the 225. However, even though these things go further and they get progressively less lofted, each club is increasing in height. So what they've managed to do is they've managed to get the 225 to launch all the way up there at 98 feet and the 221's right down at 94 feet. So yeah, they've made it stronger lofted, but they've also made it launch higher with a lot of the technology they've put it in that head. And I can confirm that I found the 221 a little bit unforgiving. I haven't been playing a lot of golf at the moment, so I found it quite hard to hit. Not as hard as some on the market, but it was much more difficult than the 223, and then I found the 225 really easy, very, very forgiving. Still felt great, but I felt as though even my miss hit still went particularly well with the 225. Now, the crucial thing for me, what I found, is the performance is fantastic with these irons and the feel's great, but as soon as we have a look at the dispersion, this is the difference I found between the irons. So looking at the dispersion table here, the 221 was really, really consistent in terms of deviation from shortest to longest shot. Now, with the shots that I hit with the 221, I struck them all pretty well, but I had 5 feet of deviation between my shortest and my longest shot, so it was super consistent in terms of performance and distance control. The 223 then went up to 11 feet of deviation from shortest to longest shot, so not quite as consistent with that distance control aspect. And the 225 was 12 feet of deviation. So as we go through these irons and they make them slightly more hollow and the face is slightly thinner and not quite as solid a forge as what the 221 is, your distance control isn't going to be quite as dialed in, it isn't going to be quite as accurate. So you do lose that aspect, but we've got to remember as well, we're making the 223 and the 225 now much more forgiving. So the 221 as an elite player is going to be the one you go for, the really elite players, because the distance control is absolutely as good as anything I've ever seen. In fact, better than anything I've ever seen. 5 feet of deviation is ridiculous, especially when it's me that's hitting it. But then once you get up to 12 feet of deviation, it's not as much as some of the stuff like the old 790s that we used to try, which occasionally you got a really hot one that went miles. But remember, that distance control isn't quite as good as we move through the set. So to summarise, we have the Pro Series 221, super consistent in terms of distance control. The feel is purer than anything I've ever felt before. It looks amazing. It performs really, really well. We've got the 223, a lot of new technology packed in this. It is very, very forgiving, which surprised me in such a small head size. A little bit stronger lofted, goes a bit further, a little bit higher than the 221. Bit easier to hit though, that. And then the 225, which for me is super easy to hit. And yes, I will still fit some golfers in the teen handicap sort of region into this iron. So somebody that likes the look of a really pure bladed style iron. But there's loads of technology hidden inside this, which makes it super easy to hit. It's very, very fast off the face, which is key to remember. Partially because it's stronger lofted, but then there's that much thinner face technology in the 223, 225 that makes it hotter. But yeah, I have a feeling that this will be one of the most popular ones, the 225, because I've found this ridiculously easy to use. And that's going to be key. Even if you do lose a little bit of consistency in distance, people want generally forgiveness and a club that's easy to hit up in the air. Overall, the Mizuno Pro Series is an absolute raving success. One of the best series of irons I've hit in quite some time. All the hype and anticipation that surrounded the release of these irons is warranted because they're every bit as good as what I expected them to be. Mizuno are producing something really, really special here, and something that you simply must try if you're looking at buying a new set of irons in this early and mid part of 2022. Don't forget, just get in touch with me if you want a custom fit on any of these models. We'll be able to help you. Thanks for watching the video. I've really enjoyed making this one. It's been one of my most fun videos of, well, 2022 now, but in the last year. Don't forget, like and subscribe for more great videos coming soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.